by his comments. Although I don't think he said anything offensive at all. But nonetheless, heading back in here, game number 2, Spuddington. Welcome.
It's going well. So far, basically, Rest in Pepperonis, they are on equal points, but they've got to be feeling a little bit up against it right now. They've not played against Gamers 2 up until this point in the entire tournament. So even though they're now only on equal footing, they've got to be thinking, how are we going to start winning games? Because last game, honestly, serious problems for them. They just didn't really get off the ground, fell behind, had to deal with the siege comp. Gamers 2 very methodically closed out the game, which is something that Invaders were unable to do with their lead. But it's not that Rest in Pepperonis were some kind of like a wizard team that were able to come back into it as a result purely of their skill. Invaders made a lot of mistakes. Gamers 2 will not. Rest in Pepperonis need to plan around that, and they need to have at least a significantly, if not they don't have to come out necessarily on equal terms, but they have to come out better than they did that last time.
All right, so interesting decisions here. Thresh, Kha'Zix, and Kassadin getting banned away by Gamers 2. Jax, Irelia, and Lucian, the bans coming out here from Rest in Pepperonis. So no Nidalee ban, but instead they go for the first pick Lulu here for the side of Gamers 2. And we'll see exactly where that's going to end up going. It's as much a pick away from Alex Ich as it is a pickup for whoever ends up handling it. And Lulu is such a flex pick that we've seen her in either solo lane or in the support role. So this is really giving absolutely no information away. Will, however, give Ko his Lee Sin.
Yeah, and Ko will be very happy to see that. But what I'd like to touch on right now is the fact that Alex Ich in particular, we saw last game, he's actually having some weird issues. He's playing very, very phenomenally well in some situations, then like failing to ult when a Riven is right in front of him and he knows it's coming. I've got to say, like, it feels to me he still hasn't really settled into this top lane role. His picks so far are basically all mid lane champions that he's running in top. I'd like to see him start to pick, you know, a Jax and Irelia, although they're banned this game, a Renekton, a Shyvana he has played once, and I feel like they're going to need that kind of a front line. Rest in Pepperonis can't always play these compositions where they rely on a top lane Lulu or something like that. So he really needs to be thinking about how he's going to play these champions. I don't know whether he's practiced those champions yet, but for now, it does seem like we are going to be seeing... is that a Karthus, actually?
They will not lock that in. They end up locking in Morgana and LeBlanc. So it's most likely going to be the Lulu top lane. Then they've got LeBlanc in the mid lane for Ocelot, and they will have the support Morgana here for Dude.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Morgana support is the generalist. She always does very, very well. I would say, though, if you have a Morgana up against a Caitlyn, Studio pointed it out when I was casting with him earlier, the range difference in the auto attacks does add up to be quite significant. The lane advantage for Caitlyn can especially be cemented if you have a sustained support, something like a Nami that we saw run in the past. But will they want to run the Nami again when they are in such a dodgy situation? So you are obviously casting from the lobby right now, so you're up to date. I'm a little bit behind. I'm not thinking that they locked in Galio or Victor, if I had to guess.
No, they end up picking up the Soraka for their mid lane, and they will lock in the Karma as well. So just stacking onto that range advantage, going with Karma Caitlyn up against the Morgana X, which will not be Lucian. Lucian does get banned out here.
Not surprised to see the Lucian ban there. Really don't want to have to deal with Yuki on that champion. He is such a good Lucian player that I'm honestly surprised they didn't ban it out in the first game. This time, though, not making that mistake. And they're picking themselves a lot of mobility this time. Rest in Pepperonis have got strong lanes here. They've got good mobility. And I feel like that is a good way for them to go, since their team fighting, even when they are way behind, is really, really good. Like, we've seen it in the last 2 games. They have just... the last 2 games that I've seen them play, where they were against Invaders and against Gamers 2 last game, they still, even like 8k goal behind, were nearly able to take team fights against the disengage comp. That's really, really good play.
Very impressive. So the final lock-in is going to come down for the side of Gamers 2. It's going to be Ezreal, the AD carry, and they take up the Vi for the jungle as well. Obviously, one of the big issues with Vi right now is if you get counterpicked with a Morgana, your ultimate doesn't do a whole lot. But if you're on the same team with the Morgana, then your ultimate does a whole lot. And it's also going to work out quite nicely, because look at how much like AoE support there is coming out from Rest in Pepperonis. I'll explain what I mean by that. With, you know, Karma can just mantra her E, and put massive shields and give lots of people an insane amount of move speed. Soraka obviously can cast Wish, whole bunch of extra health coming down. Can also armor buff one person up. So it's that right now they have so much just ability to make their team fight better all of a sudden on the basis of those two supports. And we'll see what the final lock-in is going to be here. I feel like we need a top laner for Alex Ich, although I suppose either the Karma or the Soraka could go. And they do lock in the Nidalee as well. So they got Nidalee, Soraka, and Karma in this one. It's an
Continuing
interesting
the
pickup.
trend of mid lanes in top lane, then it looks like Alex Ich is going to be playing either a Soraka or a Karma, probably the Soraka there. I've got to say, though, I do like Gamers 2's comp here. It's really, really good what they've got here. They've got good picking potential and good hard engage. Because what Rest and Pepperonis were trying to do here is play a pick disengage composition. They've got a lot of movement speed. They've got a lot of sieging potential. They can disengage very effectively, but it's very, very hard to disengage from Vi. And even if you can disengage from her in teamfight situations because you're ahead or whatever else, she's still able to create picks, especially when comboed with LeBlanc. So really, really strong setup here from Gamers 2. And the other thing I've got to note, looks like Gamers 2 are going to go for the 4 versus 0 swap here. Ezreal is basically saying that. Like, there's very little reason to pick Ezreal if you're not going for that, since he kind of sucks, basically, in a straight 2-on-2 lane. That may mean, though, that RIP will try and force a 2 versus 2. We'll see if they can do that.
And the other thing that'll be interesting to watch is there's no getting away from this Vi, right? Like if the Vi gets whimsied and has an insane amount of move speed and could potentially even get like black shielded or something like that to keep any CC from going out or to keep Ko from just being able to like kick him away before he can use his ultimate. Morden is going to be able to land the ult on pretty much whoever he wants if he gets that big move speed buff, and JWoww can throw the shield on him as well, so he comes in with a whole bunch of extra HP. Like it's this, I'm expecting Morden to have kind of a big game. And we'll see if that ends up happening here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I'd like to thank both Logitech and ProBuilds.net for helping make this tournament possible. I'm AlphaSex. I'm being joined for this game and the rest of the games for today by Spuddington. And we come back, it's going to be game number 2 in this weighted best of 5 series, currently tied up 1-1 between Gamers 2 and Rest and Pepperonis. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we hop into Summoner's Rift. Gamers 2 in the blue, Rest and Pepperonis in the red. I'm Malvis X, being joined here by Spuddington, and this is the first installment of the Solomid Invitationals 2014, brought to you in part by Logitech and ProBuilds.net. Be sure to check out all of the products that Logitech can use to make you a gaming legend, and also be sure to check out ProBuilds.net for more information on how the pros play their solo queue, how they set up their champions, runes, masteries, item buys. It's a pretty comprehensive site. It's pretty awesome. And if you check out the Spanish, I did the translation. Shameless self-plugging there, although it's probably
You speak Spanish?
a little bit. And right now,
Whoa.
Gamers 2 speak chase down Alex Itch, trying to kind of hunt him down on this one as they take control of the Tri-Brush in the top lane.
Yeah, they are
30 seconds.
here to stay, it would seem. Ocelot recalling. Not entirely sure why. He's going to just recall. He'll be able to move out to cover their own red buff now, potentially. Put down a ward, or just see if anyone's there, obviously. But Alex Itch, I don't actually know if he spotted them moving into that tri-brush there. He clearly suspects there's going to be an invade here. And with his position there, they've also covered both possible entrances to the red buff. So that's very clever. But for now, doesn't look like Gamers 2 are too keen to try anything too risky. Certainly, however, what we are going to be seeing is the 4 versus 0, guys, because you can see they're already set up. They've got the jungler going to be starting on the buff in the top area, move over to his own buff, then move up to help with the tower push, and then they can have their top laner join up with that push as well. So Alex Itch going to have to contend with that fact, and we'll see if Rest and Pepperonis as well actually might try to pull a 3 versus 4 hold on that top tower. Might be difficult for them, but it is a very predictable strategy here by Gamers 2.
And Alex Itch is opening up on the double golems right away. So he's trying to prevent as much of the farming experience going over here to JWoww and Morden as he can. Which, obviously, as a Soraka alone against 4 people, there's only so much you can really get done. But he takes away... Let's see, what did he end up getting? He gets the small golem, but not the large golem, and then backs away as he gets nervous about getting ganked or jumped on.
Yeah, he
So,
would have taken a colossal amount of damage from the small one, the big one, sorry. So, yeah, nothing to worry about.
And now he's just going to rotate down with the rest of his team, try to help out and get the push. Obviously, Soraka's Star Call is really good for helping clear out the wave, but Caitlyn, with her lack of attack steroids in the early game for either auto attack damage or attack speed, and certainly even headshot doesn't work on towers. You can't get the bonus damage down on the towers. So you have to say Ezreal being able to give his entire team attack speed and crank his own attack speed up with his passive is going to be pretty good for Gamers 2 as they go up against that protected tower in the top lane.
Yeah, although it is a little bit odd because he's chosen to level his Arcane Shift, even though they were going for a 4 versus 0. I mean, I understand Arcane Shift, absolutely. In almost all situations, you want to go for that second after the Mystic Shot, and sometimes even first. But in a situation where you know you're not going to be fighting anyone and you're literally just playing a passive push race, Essence Flux probably more valuable to your team, and maybe that's what's causing them to be only a little bit ahead in the tower race.
Very possibly. Now, of course, the other side of this strat is that it forces a pure 1v1 in the mid lane, and that's going completely in Ocelot's favor, as he certainly has the early pressure with LeBlanc over Nidalee. And he needs to keep that pressure up and needs to, in fact, dominate that matchup in the early game so that we don't see those dominating, scary mid-game javelins like we saw out of Ocelot in game number 1 of the series.
Yeah, so straight tower trade right now. The wave has been forced up and will be it will not be an option for either team to freeze it in the top and the bottom lane there. So no inhib towers dropping either, which means we're kind of now going to be seeing probably both duo lanes rotating towards the mid lane. They're going to look to try and push in on both sides, but this is a situation where Caitlyn will have an advantage unless they can get and engage, simply because their siege will be much better. But right now, they were looking for the speculative Dark Binding, but they're not going to catch out Nuke with that.
And the first buy here from Freeze is actually just Berserker Greaves. He's not going for any sustain from a Vamp Scepter or any bonus damage or anything like that. He just wants to be able to move around the map more quickly. And if he does find himself in a 2v2 or 2v1 or just match up against anybody, the move speed from Berserker Greaves is huge on Caitlyn, a champion who has so much range, and being able to help her more efficiently kite around and take favorable trades with her auto attacks is pretty big.
Yeah, Berserker's Greaves is actually one of the most efficient items in the game as well, because it gives you quite a lot of attack speed for your gold. JWoww now, though, in trouble.
JWoww nicely dodges out the Sonic Wave, and they're not going to try to continue chasing this one down. as they recognize that in the jungle, Morden might be waiting. But they do get the flash out of JWoww very early here. So, you know, that's going to be the first advantage that you could really conceive of the game, apart from just the mid lane farm, which is pretty one-sidedly in favor of Ocelot, is going to go over to the side of Rest and Pepperonis.
Yeah, they are going to have to contend with quite a difficult mid-game phase, though. Rest and Pepperonis, there's Ezreal peaks in the mid-game. Vi peaks in the mid-game. Lulu, very, very strong in the mid-game as well. And LeBlanc, so good at setting up picks at every stage of the game, particularly in the mid-game and the late game. So now, actually, it's going to be them catching JWoww.
Ko's just been waiting this whole time. JWoww tries to turn around with the Ignite and that massive creep wave, but the heal comes out from Alex Ich. Gonna give him the armor he needs to survive that. So many star calls coming down. JWoww tries to turn it back around. He's gonna throw the shield upon himself. Can he actually turn this back around? First blood goes over to Morden. He comes in from the side. Beautiful flash vault breaker. Turns that around, and Alex Ich gives up first blood.
That was... I should have been watching the minimap part of that. I did not see Vi coming in there. And apparently neither did Alex Ich, so he got taken down there. And now we're seeing Ku going back in.
He wants JWoww. Is he going to get the last auto attack? Yes, indeed he does. Can Morden close this one back down? Ko still has his flash. He's going to flash away just to be safe. Morden will not be able to close down that kill. So they do even it up. But nonetheless, 1,000 gold lead here in the early game for Gamers 2.
Not a bad start for them. And Yuki's been getting a lot of farm in this top lane. Mentioned I'm not a fan of Ezreal in a lane, but obviously if you let him get good farm, his ability to be maneuverable and to be bursty in team fights at this stage is going to be really, really strong. He is going to be one of the best AD carries you could have if you were to give that much farm and experience at this stage of the game. So we'll see if he's able to capitalize. Dark Binding did just whiff in the mid lane though, so no pick to be had there.
Nuked up. Starting to land some javelins, getting a little bit of work done here, and there is only health potion sustain coming out for Yuki right now, so those javelins are for the most part going to stick whenever he's able to get that damage down. But now Ocelot's back, and you can see he's up 19 CS for a reason. He's just been dominating this matchup throughout the entirety of the game. Nuke being level 6 will have a little bit more trading potential if he feels like he can go all in, at least a little bit more than he had one level ago. But nonetheless, the level 6 LeBlanc is so terrifying for a champion like Nidalee to try to deal with. Morden sets up the vault breaker. He recognizes he's going to have to turn around and fight this one. Mythic gets taken down to almost nothing as Dew drops the Dark Binding. Ocelot comes in from the side. Summoning Heal goes down. Morden going to be the first one to fall. Ko picks up his second kill of the game. Ocelot on the run now. Freeze using those Berserker Greaves to great advantage. Dew flashes forward, gets the Dark Binding over the wall, but it will not be good to set up the kill. Ace in the hole comes out. Dew going to block that one up for himself. And that's going to be the end of that invade. And it's going to end up going over in favor of Rest and Pepperonis, and they're going to try to secure the first dragon of the game as well.
Yeah, Gamers 2 have been forced into a vice situation here. They've got to deal with the top tower push from Alex Ich, which is why they're now sending Yuki up there. But that means they cannot contest the dragon as a result. So the quick rotation, they pick that up. Good advantage taken by Rest and Pepperonis, and that puts them in the lead, which is not something we saw very much in the previous game.
So Alex Ich finds an opportunity to get a little farm. With his Soraka, which he desperately needs. We should also point out that Alex Ich felt so uncomfortable in his early game that he picked up 3 Doran's rings. He's just got an insane amount of early game itemization to try to help him out, give him the extra HP and the mana regeneration that he's going to need to just continue getting farmed and just hope to scale into the late game pretty quickly. But you have to say, whenever any solo laner feels pressured into buying 3 Doran's items, it's not going too well for them.
There is an argument to be made, though, that 3 Doran's rings is build that allows you to forego Chalice, allows you to forego Athene's. Not necessarily something you want to be doing, but if you are in a situation where you're going to be spending a lot of time isolated, it also makes you much harder to pick off. And Soraka top lane, without 3 Doran's rings, is very, very squishy and obviously lacks in terms of escapes. With 3 Doran's rings, you could just sit on someone if they gank you and star call them until they go away, because they will have to.
Yeah, fair point. Its ability power in addition to tankiness, which Soraka can certainly abuse in the early game. So we'll see if Alex Ich is able to make that one work for him. He's mostly just been sticking around in the top lane and trying to get as much farm as he can, and looking to pick up as many levels as possible so that he gets the wish online and gets the most efficient wish he can. So this is we'll see if he's able to kind of bring it back around. But so far, You know, he did get caught out and give up that one kill. And again, he finds himself in a long lane situation as well. Both towers in the top lane are dead. So if he gets caught out on that escapeless Soraka, he has to be able to kill his pursuers or he's going to fall.
Yeah, it's a big commitment, though, to send a lot of people up there to gank right now, because if you look, Rest in Pepperonis have a lot of presence in this lower area of the jungle. Yeah, the inner tower isn't there, but it's easy to move from here up towards the mid lane, or to keep going for the in-here pressure if you are allowed to. And even if you don't get either of those two objectives, then you can still look for picks. So sending 3 people up to the top lane in order to kill Alex Ich, who's playing very, very carefully, does mean you end up wasting a lot of time if you don't get the kill. And dude, he's gonna live, he's fine.
Yeah, throws that ward down. The ward will die in place of the Morgana. And that's certainly what Gamers 2 would rather have happen. But, you know, Alex Ich, because he's just farming up the jungle as much as he can and kind of staying out of sight of the lane whenever he doesn't feel safe, he's taking advantage of that farm while Ko takes advantage of the enemy team's red side jungle. They're just taking as much farm as they can and just looking for opportunities to get some javelins down and apply some early pressure.
Rest in Pepperonis are very happy with the pace of the game right now. Not a lot of kills going down, no picks being created by Gamers 2's comp, no team fights. They're just letting themselves get into a situation where they got to farm Nidalee, farm Caitlyn, siege towers, get stuff done. JWoww, though, could be fighting Ko.
Ko trying to go into this one. He's going to have a hard time burning even the ultimate from JWoww. Does get the ultimate out of JWoww, so that's pretty good. Oh, the Vi ultimate comes in on a nuke duck. He's going to be able to flash himself away from the Dark Binding, but will fall nonetheless. Yuki going to pick that kill up, and Gamers 2 reclaim their gold lead.
Yeah, taking advantage of the commitment from Ko. No disengage, obviously, without that Dragon's Rage. And now they're going to try, but I don't like this.
They're going back in, and that's going to be JWoww picking up the kill on a Ko after Ko chased JWoww halfway down the lane. And that's 2 quick kills coming out in favor of Gamers 2. They had 1,000 gold lead, they lost 1,000 gold lead, and they got 1,000 gold lead again.
That's one of the problems with Ko, actually. Overconfidence is his biggest downfall. He's a phenomenally skilled mechanical jungler. Normally his decision making is very good, but sometimes he just goes a little bit too deep, a little bit too far, and that was definitely one of those times.
So Ko caught out, loses his flash, loses his life. And Yuki, actually, he picked up the blue buff as well off of that kill on the nuke duck earlier. And that's pretty big for Ezreal. And Ezreal with a blue buff and a Sheen is able to deal a lot of consistent damage. And he can just constantly spam out those Mystic shots without any concern whatsoever. Of course, if he's trading one every time he hits nuke duck, that's not going to be too good for him.
Yeah, indeed. So he's going to have some trouble getting harassed down on her, and he doesn't have sustain right now. Going for the Triforce first gives him the most team fighting power, gives him the most picking power, gives him the most damage, basically. But it does mean no sustain, no way of coping if you do take a Nidalee Spear or even a Karma Q. So he's got to be very, very careful, and the team in general needs to be very, very careful about how they choose their fights. Obviously, though, last time really, really worked out when Ko went for that kill on JWoww, and Morden was able to engage.
And this is why frequently we haven't seen Yuki ever get into any sort of laning situation. He's just been picking up free farm and then moving in together with his team to try to find kills if he can. But he's been generally just trying to avoid any of the poke and harass. And, you know, Rest and Pepperonis are trying to replicate the early mid-game tower sieging that we saw work so effectively for Gamers 2 in game number 1 of this one, but just has not really been able to make that happen. The javelins haven't been landing, they haven't been applying the pressure and pushing them in under the tower. And Ocelot is just significantly scarier than Nuke Duck right now.
Yeah, that is a large part of the problem. When Ocelot was playing Nidalee, he was pretty fair. He got strong items very early on into the game. This time, the Nidalee is not nearly as threatening, and they're also not having an easy time getting the vision control. Gamers 2 are not letting them have it in the same way that Rest in Pepperonis did. However, this time, they may be able to get something done to get the mid tower at least.
Yeah, Freeze does not go with the rest of his team as they try to contest the red buff and just pushes down the tower instead. So the red buff contest ends up working as a giant distraction, and it goes over pretty well for Rest and Pepperonis. They take down the tower, they don't steal away the red buff, but they force Morden's Smite as the dragon's about to come up. And that's going to provide a lot of control to Rest and Pepperonis as they open up on this one.
Yeah, smart play there. True Shot Barrage used to try and steal that, but it wasn't going to happen. Now Rest and Pepperonis do have a little bit of a pressure on them. They've got to respond to that top wave. They're going to send Alex up there, but it's okay for them because Ocelot is currently committed in the bottom lane. In fact, it looks like Gamers 2 are going to be going for the red buff steal. Now, I was actually thinking what they were going to do was predict what Alex was going to do, because he is the most logical choice to send up there and then go for the gank. They still could do that. They do have 2 members in the area. It looks like Ko may have predicted that in return.
Yeah, but at this point, killing Alex Ich when he's standing within any distance at all of a tower is going to be so tough. The Athene's Unholy Grail gives him the 20% cooldown reduction, and the 3 Doran's Rings gives him so much tankiness and so much damage off of his early star calls. It's going to be almost impossible to actually kill him unless you have a full lane to try to chase him down, or just an insane amount of burst damage. Like, for example, Ocelot with the Needlessly Large Rod.
It was a cute little exchange of play, though. I did like to see both teams playing the one-step ahead game. This time, though, Ocelot may be the one getting a little bit of an edge in the pushing race. He's going to be stronger than Caitlyn if she's there alone to stop him. May even be able to burst her at this point, don't know. Hasn't hit level 11, but does have Ignite. But Karma there. Oh,
JWoww's baiting Alex Ich so hard, and Alex is going to bite on it. Takes down the tower, has to flash away. Ko's there as well, but there's the Assault and Battery. Down goes Alex Ich. Can't Ko fight his way back out of this one? Wild Growth goes down to Morden. They're not going to get the kill. Can he get away? The answer is no, he cannot. Flash comes out. Morden grabs up yet another kill for himself.
Nice usage of the ultimate from Vi. They do get another kill there. Chasing down Ko was the clever bit there, predicting what he was going to do, and that's going to give them the mid tower as well. There's very little way that Nukeduck can stop this, because his wave clear consists of 1 minion at a time from quite a long distance. I will admit that he's not going to be able to stop him, and that will slow the push, but definitely not enough to stop the mid tower push. Losing objectives, losing control, essentially, over the game. And they need to be very careful. They can't allow themselves to get caught out like that. And Vi will always take the opportunity if she can find it.
With that said, the objective control, again, has gone in favor of Rest and Pepperonis this game. In the first game, that they also fell behind in that one, in addition to all the champion kills. And that was what set that early game snowball to be so large. But because both Dragons have gone down to Rest and Pepperonis, and because they lead 4 towers to 3, they're still very much in this one. Despite anything else might be going on with the CS or the champion kills, they're only down 500 gold, which in 17 minutes is not all that scary.
The problem is, though, Rest and Pepperoni's composition is designed to get early objectives, and they've only created a small advantage for themselves. That is going to cause them problems. Their composition has an expiry date. When you get to the point where Vi engages with, a Black Shield potentially, but if not, Yuki has the Black Shield, and you have a Wild Growth on top of it, that hard initiate, they don't have hard disengage. It's going to be hard to get away from that. Now Ko may be caught.
Ko. Goodbye, Ko. He's not going to get out of this one. Morden grabs its 3rd kill of the game right now. The catch potential of Dude's Morgana and Morden's Vi is just way too strong.
Yeah, so, that is another kill. That's less presence on the map again. Ko has met his team. He is resting in whatever you may choose to have instead of a P at that point. And now it actually looks like Morden's going to be the one to go for some wave clear. Get a little bit of farm here. Why not? He is snowballing. He's actually building a bit of damage right now, which is something we often see Fed Vi's do, because she can get really, really scary with a bit of extra burst. But for now, it's not going to cost too much that Ko went down there. No real objective to force straight up there.
So Nukeduck just trying to get as far as he possibly can to try to go up against Ocelot, who has completed his Athene's Unholy Grail and has the Needlessly Large Rod as well. So, I mean, the LeBlanc already doing a lot of damage, but has gone for a little bit more conservative of a build rather than trying to rush straight into a DFG or Deathcap or anything like that. Has completed the Athenes. So going to have a lot of good pressure whenever they move around the map. And Morden, he has his ult up. Pretty much whenever the Vi has her ultimate available, and if he's standing anywhere near the LeBlanc, like, even Nukeduck right now is going to have to be careful, even under the tower. I'm not sure if Mithy is going to be enough protection to keep him alive, and they're going to have to give this tower up. Teleport going in, they might try to fight for this one. Of course, as the tower dies, that's going to be the end of that one, so Alex Ich loses his teleport cooldown and not able to make anything happen.
Yeah, that was a bizarre choice by Alex there. Could have, if he had gone in a little bit earlier, then maybe that would have been a good choice. He would have been able to heal himself, keep himself alive. He would have been very difficult to bring down. Spamming star calls, they would have had to commit very hard to him, and the tower would have been pounding on them all the time. So he may have been able to hold the tower that way, but going in that late was, pointless, utterly.
So Yuki, trying to do what he can to chase Freeze out of the lane as he presses forward with the rest of his team aggressively. And Freeze is... the other thing that's worth pointing out is that one of the things that Caitlyn does best is bully laning phases. And Gamers 2 were able to completely avoid that issue this time around. Generally speaking, if Nidalee is even in farm with another AD carry at 20 minutes, the other AD carry will outdamage her. Even if it's Ezreal, as long as the Ezreal has been doing well and getting good farm, I mean, he's got Trinity Force done, and he's got the Vamp Scepter, so he's working in towards his Bloodthirster as well. Another Dark Binding lands on a Ko. Ko gonna get taken out. Lamorden's gonna commit the Assault and Battery out of this one. He's gonna get pulled extremely far away, gets kicked in under the tower, pulls himself back out. Wild Growth goes down. Morden playing this extremely well. And Gamers 2 gonna end up disengaging as Rest and Pepperonis form a front line against them. Alex Itch trying to chase down an Ocelot. Ocelot flashes away. His decoy gonna be able to tank out that Javelin for him, so he will not fall. Move speed goes down on a Ko, but will not be enough to chase down. And Morden with an extremely aggressive initiation will not go down, but they do give Dragon pressure, or Dragon control rather, back over to Rest and Pepperonis. This is going to be 3-0 in the Dragon Sport.
Yeah, this is one of the problems the Gamers 2 will suffer. If they can't instantly burst someone down, then they've got huge problems. Ocelot trying for a speculative attempt there, but not going to be able to get it. So if you don't instantly burst someone down, the heals are just going to keep whoever it is that's being focused alive for a very long time. I still feel, though, yeah, as the game goes by, damage will scale up higher and higher, especially from the AD carries. And that is just going to mean the comp will be weaker in team fights. Unless, of course, that it's a huge overcommitment, which can happen with Vi. She goes very deep by her very nature.
And that was a lot of what we saw there. Ko, especially if you use the ultimate on a champion as mobile as Lee Sin, right? He's going to be able to safeguard, he can flash. He ended up trying to kick Morden in under the tower, trying to apply that pressure as well. Arcane Barrage being used to try to steal away, or excuse me, True Shot Barrage being used to try to steal away the red buff, but it's going to be a little bit early on that one.
So now it does seem at the moment that we are seeing this slow pushing farm fest once again, and Gamers 2 trying to create picks. Said it before, they actually do this a lot. They split push with Ocelot, they use his low cooldown on Distortion ultimate to clear the waves sometimes, and then they just try and kill whoever comes to stop him. Does definitely seem, though, that Rest and Pepperonis are wise to that. They've been reacting well to that particular style. Alex, did that reveal more?
I'm not sure that it revealed more, but Alex is going to know someone's there as the white starts hitting someone else. And he's using it, he can cast it, so he knows the white's there, but then the white doesn't hit him. So he knows that something's up. Someone has to be there to take the white aggro.
Cute little usage, I guess, of the aggro mechanics. Not, I suspect that he knew someone was there, but he might have suspected. It was the LeBlanc split push, and there was the... that is one of Gamers 2's favorite little plays, to gank whoever's there to clear the wave. The fact that that is being stymied so much is definitely making Gamers 2's life a bit difficult right now. So, we'll see how this continues. Ko, clearing away the other white. Getting it. He's getting this one. He got it. So it was an exchange of whites, very even between the two teams there.
Honestly, at this point, I feel like both teams are content to go to late game. Like, the way that they've been pushing, no one has tried to set up any sort of major plays. Gamers 2 are going to be content to use, Vi, Lulu, and then the damage output from LeBlanc and Ezreal to kind of get everything done that they need to get done. But at the same time, LeBlanc has big issues with late game Soraka because the silence lasts so long. So Ocelot's going to have to be very careful when he goes in. So they have that going for them. They have the late game Nidalee Javelins, which are terrifying. And while Lee Sin doesn't particularly scale that well into the late game, he can set up all sorts of plays like this one on a JWoww. JWoww having to burn his flash. Red buff from Freeze can get a lot of slowdown here. Yuki comes from the side. Black Shield goes down. Yuki going to get jumped on, taken down extremely low. Dude going to take up the ace in the hole. And at the end of this one, it goes over. The control goes in favor of Rest and Pepperonis, despite the fact that Ocelot is down in the bottom lane pushing.
Yeah, so now Rest and Pepperonis here, they've managed to set up what they've been trying to set up for quite a while, which is a siege scenario. They are now able to use their heals, their pokes, their damage, and their opponents are too low to engage on them, which means that they're just going to continue this pressure until they've got the tower, I suspect. If they can land just a few spears and force somebody else away from Gamers 2, it could work. But otherwise, they may get engaged on and they may have some problems.
There's the assault and battery. They're going for the hard engagement. They're going in onto Mithy with that one. The Wish goes down. Back up to full health he goes. Dude takes the javelin, gets taken down. Morden actually going to pick up the kill onto Ko. Ko's the one who gets the kill onto Dude. Now Morden trying to get away. Summoner Heal goes down. Yuki picks up the kill onto Alex Ich. Yuki is right back in this one. Has to dodge out some skill shots. Needs to be very careful with this one. Running away. He's got a little bit of a shield coming up from the help picks. That javelin going to be off target, so it will not land. At the end of the day, it's 2 for 1 in favor of Gamers 2. But again, the Nidalee heals, keeping enough HP. The Soraka heals, keeping enough HP on the side of Rest and Pepperonis that they can push down the tower. Beautiful poke coming back down one more time as Morden tries to re-engage. Freeze, flashes forward, wants to pick up this kill. Help Picks goes down, going to keep Morden alive a little bit longer, but the shutdown goes over to Nuke Duck, and he picks up a blue buff for his trouble. And Rest and Pepperonis, this is the heal comp, this is the siege comp, and they're making it work.
Yeah, it really, really is for them. And that's now. That's. Ow!
Goodbye, Mithy.
Damn. Take it
Very
down.
nice for shot barrage.
Good shot, sir. Good shot. But that is so Rest and Pepperonis, having set up that siege scenario, you saw how powerful that is. Gamers 2 cannot allow that scenario to occur again, and now Nuke Duck may have to run for his life.
Nuke Duck gonna go down.
Or not. Or just die.
Yuki picking up 2 quick kills and a blue buff. So this has been a happy moment to be in Ezreal. Even if you use your flash, that's okay. That's a-okay.
He's 4-0 now as well, getting the Bloodthirster, I suspect, when he goes back. That's going to make him very, very strong. So, like I was saying, Gamers 2 cannot allow that situation to occur again. They cannot be forced into a situation where they are head-on engaging into the entire team, where Rest and Pepperonis are already trying to kite them back when the engage comes in. If they can get the drop on them, they can still engage 5-on-5, but they can't allow a very long, sustained team fight, or they will end up losing, even if they win in terms of the kills. It's just not going to work for them.
And that's just the strength of Soraka and Nidalee when it comes down to how much they can heal. Even if the numbers don't necessarily go in your favor, it's still going to work out quite nicely. It's you trying to maintain map control, but of course that pink ward has already been spotted, so it's not long for this world. And again, we see pretty much on cooldown, Freeze is just using his ultimate onto Ocelot, because Ocelot has no way to sustain that back up. Ko trying to force the fight back out, going to take a full LeBlanc combo, goes down to about half health, and there's the 2 heals go back up, and he's back up to full health one more time. Soraka and Nidalee A-okay against LeBlanc. JWoww steps onto the trap. It is indeed made for Yordles. JWoww going to have to flash himself away. Flash comes out from Ko as well, as he's trying to avoid getting caught up. They do take vision control of the dragon. It's that pink ward helping out quite a bit.
They
And
can't
Gamers,
fight.
they're still trying to. Dude taking on very low. Assault and battery goes in onto Nuke Duck, but there's no follow-up at all. Ocelot picks up the kill onto Ko. Morden now trying to get himself back out. And Ocelot gets the assassination onto the enemy jungler. Yuki blinks himself back over the wall. Rest and Pepperoni still trying to take down this dragon. If they have the opportunity, they don't have the smite from their jungler. Morden's got to be eyeing this pretty greedily. He's a little far away, but he's going to walk back up with Yuki. So they try to get back in a position to take control of this one more time. They're just kiting around the traps as best they can, seeing who they can bait out. And this is just buying time for Ko to respawn and get back out here, but it's also buying time for Alex Ich and Nuke Duck to get their team healed back up to full.
The number of pots Gamers 2 is chugging through right now is pretty significant, and I did have to eat my words there, but I still think Rest in Pepperonis, this is a good scenario for them. As long as the dragon doesn't get bursted down and it just reset, then they will win in the long run because they've got sustain and they've got poke. Their opponents cannot contend with that. Nice clone tank, but this is going to be the objective, so they will win out in the long run.
Nuke Duck finally lands one of those major javelins, and the dragon will end up falling down. 4th dragon now in favor of Rest in Pepperonis. The control has just been so strong, and again, you mentioned it before, these drawn-out engagements like this are going to go more and more in favor of Rest in Pepperonis, the more ability power the Nidalee buys, and the bigger the Soraka gets.
And it's interesting to see that Nuke Duck is actually playing Nidalee. She's a very, very, very strong champion in the current meta. She's just unbelievably difficult to deal with once she gets her farm. But he's always been more of an assassin player, so it's interesting to see him branching out there into the poke siege composition. And obviously, Nidalee is a linchpin in this whole setup. If they didn't have her, this would not be working nearly so well. Right now, though, trying to set up for a mid lane siege, I suspect. That or a Baron poke fight. A Baron dance works very, very well with this comp.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very difficult to engage into it. But at the same time, you always have to be careful. That we saw a situation where Gamers 2 were almost able to turn that back around if they had gotten a little bit more of their CC down at the right time. If Dude had landed one more crucial Dark Binding, maybe that fight goes another direction. And this is the late game between these two teams is so scary. There's so many things that can catch you out, and before you regain control of your character, you're gone. Looking at Ocelot, looking at Dude, looking at Morden, there's so many terrifying things that can happen. So it's all going to come down to vision control and who's able to get the picks, who's able to make those terrible things happen to their opponents.
I think one of the problems they're suffering right now, Alex actually being smart here, teleporting out to the Nexus because he knew his recall would be interrupted and probably die for it. One of the problems that Gamers 2 is facing right now is they don't seem willing or they don't feel able to one-on-one Soraka right now. That's kind of understandable. She is very, very strong. But I've got to say, I feel like LeBlanc would be able to win that fight. Ezreal would be able to push her away in a one-on-one situation. So because Soraka is allowed to keep pushing, they are suffering quite a lot in terms of being pushed back, because Soraka pushes out, the rest of the team moves up for the siege, Soraka moves over to join up the siege, and Gamers 2 are a man down wherever the siege is as a result. So they need to stop Soraka from doing that. At the moment, they haven't had a lot of luck with it, though.
And also, it gives Alex Itch just a lot of free farm. Despite being 0-3, that freeze gets jumped on, takes a bit of damage, and then the double heals come back out, and he's full health again. But, like, even though Alex Itch is 0-3 and had not a great early game, he's almost leading in farm. He's only behind the 280 carries in farm. Ko finds Morden. They trade a little bit of damage, and that's going to be the end of that one. They high five. Juggler high five. Yeah.
Ooh, that was a long chain. Jeez. I don't know if you caught that, but that was the WRE and then W again to go back by Ocelot. So, nice little... that was a... The weird thing about the chain, the ethereal chain, is it's actually a projectile. The chain part of the chain is completely irrelevant as far as the game's concerned. It's just a graphic effect. Only the end of the chain matters.
Another ace in the hole from Freeze lands on Ocelot, and again, that's the target every time. If he hits Morden, it's not going to deal that much damage. If he hits Yuki, Yuki's just going to Q a couple creeps, and he's going to be back to full health. Ocelot is the target every time. Dark Binding lands, Ocelot takes more poke. The Mantrid Q coming out from Karma. The Black Shield actually going to get used, and Ocelot's going to be forced back. And this is what this poke siege comp is looking to do every time. Another Javelin onto Dude. Dude gets taken down very low. Traps coming out from Freeze, cutting off half the lane, making it very difficult for the side of Gamers 2 to come back in with the initiation unless they have the Black Shield to just burn through those. True Shot Barrage being used to try to take down the creep wave as best they can. Freeze taken down kind of low. Morden going to go for the initiation on this one. Catches out Nuke Duck. There's the knockup as well. Extends the CC. Ko goes into the front line and kicks JWoww into his team. Ko taken down very low. Soul Shackle's going to get the stun up onto him. Yuki now going forward. He's going to go back out. Pills over Peacemaker. Picks up the kill on Ocelot. Silence goes down onto Dude. Help picks a little bit late. Dude going to flash himself away from the final Javelin. And again, it's Rest and Pepperonis with the heals with enough HP to stick around and push down the tower after the fight.
And they can get Baron here. Look at that massive wave in the bottom lane. Someone is going to have to respond to that. Look at that massive wave in the top lane. Someone is going to have to respond to that. Their heals work just as well for tanking Baron, so this is very low risk play. And if they see Gamers 2 coming towards them, they just run away. They look for a pick whilst the minion waves are bashing down on their opponents, and they can look for this.
Morden going to go up. He's going to get rooted out here. Is he going to go down? He's incredibly tanky on this one. They throw on the Black Shield. It's taking forever to kill him. Ace in the hole finally going to get the job done. Despite all 5 people standing on it forever. Dude going to take a Javelin. He's going to get followed up with the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike. Double kill goes down now for Freeze. His Caitlyn 3-0-3 with the 3-item build. And now they turn back out. They want to go for the Baron one more time. And this time, there's no Morden. There's no potential for the Smite Steal.
They're just going to heal their way through it. Heal tank your way through all of life's problems. It's literally Rest in Pepperoni's metaphor right now. Their motto right now is the word I was looking for, because that's literally their solution right now. They are, if there is a problem, heal tank it. You will be able to deal with it in the long run because you can outlast any form of damage. Baron hitting you, don't worry, just heal tank it. Enemy team trying to burst someone down, heal tank it, maybe have Ko, W to someone to get out of the way of most of the damage, and then heal him back up, go back in again. It's a really strong comp, but it is very much a one-trick pony. It's just that it's a one-trick, stallion.
Yeah, it's how do you beat the one-trick pony if it's better than anything that you can bring against it? It's so hard, and I'm a little surprised to not see some of the healing debuff items come out here. A Morella Nomicon would not go amiss, even though they're kind of light on people who can apply big bursts of AoE damage. Ocelot can do pretty well if he ult mimics the distortion and comes back in. If he applies that debuff to the entire team. Obviously, the big thing about Soraka is that the lower you are, the better her heals are. But if you're below 40% health and you take damage, magic damage from a person with a Morellonomicon, it's going to cut that heal in half. Alex Ich going to get caught out. Morden's got him. Yuki's there with the red buff as well. Alex Ich is almost certainly going to go down. He's trying to heal tank this as best he can. He flashes away. The shield comes out, and the move
heal tank
from Mithy going to be good.
Give heal tank it. It's fine. They've even got Baron regen now as well. It's ridiculous. How? Look, he's full health. There we go. Lost all of it. And this is not a squishy character. Right now, Alex Ich is, got a lot of gold put into resistances. Also a lot to that.
That's
no.
That's what we were talking about before. Late game LeBlanc does not deal well with Soraka. He goes in, tries to go for the seal, gets silenced up, and cannot go back out. So he's going to fall down. And, Alex Ich had the flash. He had support in range. And the heal tanking was good. So they pick up the dragon, they pick up a kill, and they look to siege on the inhibitor tower.
Yeah, they're moving towards it. They are going to be able to get this. Well, probably they'll be able to get it if they can get anyone poked down low enough to force them off. And remember, heal tanking works on towers too, so diving is a possibility.
Particularly with, these healers, right? They got the shields coming out from Karma, they've got the Nidalee heal, they got the Soraka heal, which gives you armor as well. Yuki takes another javelin, Ace in the hole goes out, that's going to get blocked up. And that's going to be the first inhibitor of the game going down in favor of Rested Pepperonis. And there's no end in sight to this heal-taking freight train.
It's only going to get worse. That is the problem. Unless they build a Morellonomicon, which, as you pointed out, is actually a very, very smart move, and I haven't considered it, which is very, very, very stupid of me. But unless you build a Grievous Wounds item, which can still be cleansed off by Summoner Heal, so it's not like an actual panacea to solve all your problems, then...
Of which there are
what are you going to do?
2 Summoner Heals.
How are you going to win this fight, especially now when you're behind, before they had the opportunity to potentially burst a healer out of the fight before they could do much? Now it's just you go in, then they heal tank through all your damage because you don't have enough damage, and then you lose.
Very precarious, the situation for these teams right now. Freeze has picked himself up a Banshee's Veil, so one less target that Morden can use the ult to get in on. Seeker's Arm Guard picked up here for Mithy. So looking to stack up the armor. Yuki's trying to get a blue buff steal here, but he's also just trying to bait Freeze in for Ocelot as best he can. Ocelot going to be able to take the blue buff away, so Gamers too getting some advantages where they can. But so far, this has looked pretty grim for them. Despite a strong early game, they now find themselves down 6,000 gold here to Rest and Pepperonis. And Rest and Pepperonis still got a little bit of Baron buff left.
It's very, healing compositions like this are weaker when they're split apart. There is no two ways about that. The stacking of the heals is what makes it so difficult, because normally in a team fight you look to focus out a damage threat. You can't do that if they are being healed continually, so there's full damage coming out of them all the time. If they're split up, they tend to be weaker in one-on-ones than, less healing focused compositions. But thus far they haven't had a lot of luck forcing one-on-ones. They're trying again here. Alex.
Yeah, this time there's no support around. He's going to fall down to this one. And I know I said that last time, but this time it's for real. He's the Ignite, he's going to pop the Wish as well.
I'm not sure I believe you.
And down he finally goes. Morden able to pick that kill up with the excessive force, but they commit 2 people to the top lane to shut down Alex Ich. And just like that, we see the rest of Rest and Pepperonis crashing in on this inhibitor tower.
They will not be able to take that, though. It was a good response by Gamers 2. They were able to force it away. Not enough creeps either to get there in time. So they've alleviated the pressure for a while. It was a good move by Gamers 2 to catch Alex there, even if they had to commit quite a lot to it. But now they're having to contend with this siege, and one spear is now 60% of Ocelot's health. That's scary town.
I'm also intrigued by the fact that Nuktuk felt he had to go with Azanya's Hourglass before he could pick up the Void Staff. And that's cutting down a pretty decent amount of his poke. In this one, there's the Mikhail's Crucible providing magic resist for the Morgana. There's a Negatron Cloak plus Hex Drinker providing some magic resistance for Morden as well. Athene's Unholy Grail for the Lulu. Not having that magic penetration item is cutting down on quite a bit of the damage he would be capable of in these extended siege scenarios.
It is doing that, but the thing is, of course, their whole style here is not necessarily about burst damage or even really poking them out. It's just about out-sustaining. And Zhonya's prevents you from being focused out. It's impossible to focus him out if he's got all these heals and he's got a Zhonya's as well. And who do you focus in that case? Like, everyone else is tanking.
So we see way too much poke goes down. JWoww has to flash himself away, or he risks being flash punted into the team there by Ko. Ko landing a Sonic Wave at just the right moment. Javelin lands on a Yuki, taking up very low. Ocelot comes back in with the home guard, going to try to make something happen, goes in on a Nuke Duck. Nuke Duck pops the Zanyas, gets healed up there by the Wish. Ko to the back line, forces Yuki and JWoww back all on his own. He's going to fall for that one, but he creates a lot of space for his team as Morden and Dude were running to the front, trying to push them back. Soul Shackle's already used. Ocelot going to get chased back out as well. And this is going to end up being the second inhibitor of the game, going down in favor of Restin' Pepperonis, despite losing a member for nothing.
It's just the way their comp works.
Alex Ich now on the run, tries to flash away, gets caught up there by the Vault Breaker as well. Spamming out those star calls, gets the silence down onto Morden. JWoww getting taken out pretty low, but just AoE has to juke away from the Javelin. That could have been pretty terrifying. The root goes out, that'll force Morden to use the Vault Breaker to go back into the rest of his team. Gamers 2 still trying to chase this one down. Will not be able to do so, but they do keep their middle inhibitor alive despite losing the inhibitor in the bottom lane.
And they've now got bottom lane inhib pressure with Baron up in 15 seconds. This is not going to go well for Gamers 2, I suspect, especially considering, as mentioned, with the heal tanking, they can do Baron very safely. And then, as they demonstrated, they can turn around if anyone comes. So now, Gamers 2 need to get some vision over the Baron pit, but they also need to be pushing out this bottom wave in order to have the best possible opportunity to try and contest if they go for the Baron. But even if they don't go for the Baron, Restin' Pepperonis are totally free to push that middle inhib. Their siege is strong. They don't even need to risk it.
We should give an extra nod of the head to Alex Ich for how much utility the Soraka Silence is providing at this point. Their Vise are really big fans of when you're in turret siege moments of charging up the Vault Breaker and stepping forward and kind of providing a little bit of threat and forcing people to back away. If you do that against Soraka, she silences you and you lose the Vault Breaker, and now you're just standing in front of the tower with no one around to help you. Or in a situation where if the silence is up, Ocelot goes in, he gets silenced up, he can't blink back out, or he can't cast spells when he comes in. The Soraka Silence is as much a threat as her heal at this phase of the game, because if you're able to disrupt those really important, skill combinations at just the right time, you can completely break down a play that someone from Gamers 2 might be trying to set up.
Alex's positioning there is just, it's just disgusting.
He knows he can't
die. Like 3 people, and he's just like, no, walking up here, don't even care, you can try and kill me. But they couldn't, and that's why they ran.
Yeah, the build Frozen Heart with the Rylai's and the Andres, he's dealing a lot of damage, has good cooldown reduction, and has a giant stack of armor as well. So realistically, Ocelot's going to be the one guy who has a pretty good opportunity to pick up the kill there, and even then, it's going to be tough because of the silence and the magic resist from the Athenes and the Merc Treads.
Yeah, and he's giving out 146 armor with his W now, so that's a lot. I would say right now they're not necessarily forcing the issue quite as well as they'd like. I suspect need to upgrade some sweepers or buy some pinks here to get some more Baron control. Or they could just try and force the middle inhib. That is the other option. But actually it looks at the moment like they're just going to take the small reward and take the Dragon. I say small reward. Still quite a bit of gold from Dragon at this stage of the game, but smaller than a Baron or the middle inhib.
And again, both teams, we called this out pretty early. Both teams are content to go to the late game and see who can outplay the other one. Restin' Pepperonis have been getting so much help from their heal composition, and they're building on their gold lead slightly. It's a little over 6,000 right now, but the later the game goes, the less that number is going to matter. As people end up completing their item builds, it doesn't matter if the other guy has more gold than you if he can't spend it on anything useful.
Well, here comes the upgraded trinkets. You can actually see quite a lot of sweeping lenses changes here. 2 upgraded trinkets and 1 extra being bought. So you can tell it's the Baron. Restin' Pepperonis are going to go for the Baron attempt here. Hope they don't do what Invaders did with that.
Also, the far side orb here from Freeze to help prevent face-checking issues in a situation where, LeBlanc plus Vi will instantly burst you if you face-check the wrong brush. I definitely like the far side orb.
Yeah, it's just really, really cool here. And they don't even need wards that much because they're so strong as a blob group. Like, they just need to bull down 1 lane or 1 objective and force it out.
You take it almost completely down by that ace in the hole. Unbelievable, the Javelin lands, JWoww goes down. Yeah. He doesn't use his ult. They're not going to have that for this fight. Gamers 2, I don't think they can contest this anymore. If they lose the Wild Growth, if they lose the Polymorph, they lose everything that JWoww's Lulu is able to do for them. They cannot stick around and try to take this one. And indeed they won't. Restin' Pepperonis is going to get their second Baron of the game.
Second Baron, 2 inhibs open to force. They can siege so unbelievably hard. This is the death now. I'm sorry to say it. I normally like to try and make out that there is hope in this situation, but there just isn't. This is despair. There is no way that Gamers 2 can engage and win a fight. They just can't. There is no answer to the heal tanking, and now they're even 4v5 with a Baron.
Big burst damage on it, and Mithy goes back up to full health.
Just nothing. There's just no possible way they can scratch them at this point, and this is where they win a team fight, and I look like a moron.
Ocelot caught out, Ace in the hole, gonna get taken.
Oh, that clone!
Right at the last second, it does spawn and is able to keep him alive on that one. Now Morden gets jumped on by Ko. Ko bounces himself right back out. One inhibitor tower being engaged upon. JWoww's gonna respawn. He comes out with the home guard. They burst down Ko, but they can't get it done. The wish comes out, the heal comes out. Ko's going to survive. JWoww slowed up by the Rylai, slowed up by the Frostmead's claim. Morden tries to jump in the way and keep him alive, will not be successful. And that one, JWoww goes down again. And they're gonna have, this is a solid 2.5 minutes. They haven't had a Lulu on their team. And with that, one Nexus tower falls. Gamers 2 getting some help from the home guard boots on the fountain, trying to come back out. That's not gonna be good. Yuki goes down, Nuke Duck lands another crucial javelin. And so far, the story of the series has been Nidalee. Soraka certainly being a huge footnote in this one, but it's just it's come down to javelins. It's all come down to javelins. Rest and Pepperoni grabbed the second Nexus tower. Moving on to the Nexus now, taking a brief break to try to pick up some kills. That's actually going to be Ocelot getting that one down. Dude flashes in, uses the ultimate, not going to be enough to keep the Nexus alive. Rest and Pepperonis go ahead 2-1.
That is just a testament to why Nidalee